Soon after the Indian Parliament resolution, the Foreign Secretary Mr. Vijay Gokhale met with the Chinese ambassador, who is new, recently appointed, Mr. Sun Wetum, and explained the position of the Indian government on the 370 article revocation. Number two, the External Affairs Minister Mr. Jaishankar had visited China, and he communicated to his counterpart Mr. Wang Yi that there are no extraterritorial claims that India is making by revoking the special provisions in the 370 article. He also assured that this is an internal matter and has no implications for the outside the region. Were the Chinese satisfied? No. And soon after Mr. Jaishankar's visit, there has been a note circulated by the Chinese side for closed-door negotiations in the United Nations Security Council, which was held soon after, without any conclusion or a press statement regarding the revocation of 370 article. But the fact that the China has taken it to the United Nations Security Council and suggested that the United Nations Security Council resolutions such as number 47 and subsequently later on other resolutions need to be observed. Secondly, that countries should adopt the United Nations Charter, and then the concerns of the neighboring countries should be considered. All this suggests that China is not satisfied with the Indian opinion, Indian discussions with China on the 370 article revocation.
Well, at the moment, I would say this is relatively opaque, because for the government of India, they are really proceeding, I think, an issue at a time. And currently, the focus is on the larger global dimension. Therefore, we saw that India had invested considerably at the United Nations Human Rights Council. Now, in the course of the next week, Prime Minister Modi is going to be traveling to the UNGA, where he would be speaking on the 27th. So I think India is prioritizing this particular forum. As far as China is concerned, I think the real kind of test would be when India prepares to receive the Chinese president, Mr. Xi Jinping. We are looking at the first week of October when Mr. Xi Jinping would be received for this informal summit. It's going to be post Wuhan. Again, my sense is that in this one-on-one, the J&K issue would definitely come up, because for Mr. Modi, electorally, it is a high priority, high octane issue, meaning that the decisions of August 5th, both in relation to 370 and the bifurcation of J&K, have enormous domestic political resonance. So I think having China on board or ensuring that China remains neutral would be a very high priority. So my sense is that after the UNGA, Prime Minister Modi would focus his time and attention on the bilateral with Mr. Xi Jinping, where I think J&K would definitely be on the agenda.
India's response to Chinese concerns have again been addressed on both fronts, that is J&K as well as Ladakh front. In J&K, our position has been that it's an internal affair of India. It was an amendment to the constitution, an article which was temporary and transitional in status. The second aspect of our response was that J&K issue as such is a bilateral issue strictly between India and Pakistan, with no reference to any other state or any international organization. An issue with regard to HR violation is concerned, we feel that it is a overhyped phenomena. It is a Pakistani propaganda which is going on, and we need to address it as such. Coming on to Ladakh, our response has been again in consonance with our position. Foreign Secretary of India has already gone on record to say that India is not seeking any territorial claims, additional territorial claims. It has also gone on record to say that our external boundaries are not going to change. As far as our boundary issue with China is concerned, in Ladakh, there are n number of agreements between India and China. 2005 agreement on political agreement on parameters for and guidelines with negotiation with China. It stands good and it is good enough instrument to resolve the dispute with regard to western section of LAC is concerned. Of course, the position of Ladakh has been that it is now it is a union territory of India, and it was necessitated because we needed to ensure full and very fast development of a very remote area. That was the main focus on that. This has been generally our response to both the J&K and Ladakh. To my mind, China is largely in agreement with this because its major concern is Ladakh, and since those agreements are all in place, it is likely to pursue that option rather than going anywhere else. To answer that question, it is by and large a position which has been accepted by China in toto.